So far, we've seen how the Old Testament prohibits kidnapping, which means that the Old Testament couldn't possibly endorse slavery. We've also seen how nobody's buying or selling people. They are selling themselves, which means there is no slave master. And we've also seen how they have rights, which is no different to a native Israelite. But what about being slaves for life? Doesn't that sound like modern-day slavery? Unlike Hebrew slaves, does the Bible force foreign slaves to be slaves for life? Now, why do I say that? Because Leviticus chapter 25 verse 46 says, "You may also pass them on as an inheritance to your sons after you, to receive as a possession. You can use them as permanent slaves." Ooh, now that seems a little too harsh. They are slaves for life and they get passed on to their children as an inheritance. Now get out of that one, Christian, if you can. Yes, but not so fast, my skeptic friend. First of all, here's a quick reminder. The original Hebrew word used for foreign slaves is the same word used for Hebrew slaves, or servants, or bondservants. So if they're not slaves in the modern day sense, then what's going on? Why are they kept forever, passed on like some worthless piece of furniture? Well, the problem here is that our atheist friends usually read this as a commandment telling the Israelites to never release a foreigner from slavery. But if you read it carefully, it seems to be saying something else. It seems to be giving them permission rather than a commandment to keep them. This principle may be more important than you think. So first of all, how do I know that God is giving permission to the Israelites rather than commanding them to make permanent slaves out of these foreign nations? Well, that's easy. It's because of the wording. Look at it carefully. It says you may also pass them as an inheritance. Check it out. Virtually every modern Bible translation uses the word may or can, not must or shall. It says you may buy male and female slaves. They may be your property. You may pass them on as an inheritance. Or you can use them as permanent servants. But look how it changes the language when it becomes a commandment. You must not. You must never. You shall not. Or just do not. So clearly God gave them permission to keep them forever. But the question is, why give them permission to keep them forever? Why is this important? Because, think about it. This very chapter is specifically talking about when a slave or a servant or a bondservant, it's all the same word, is released. A Hebrew is released on the 7th year or the year of Jubilee. So when that happens, where does the Hebrew go? He is specifically told to go back to his land. No Hebrew is allowed to lose his land, so this guy has somewhere to go. His debts are wiped clean and everyone goes back home. Now tell me, where would the foreigner go who owns no land and has no income? The only place he could go to is back to his own country, the place he left behind. But if he left his country on bad terms, or for political reasons, or lack of finance, or any other reason, then sending him back on the 7th year or the year of Jubilee wouldn't make sense and wouldn't help him. The guy will be back where he started. On top of that, the foreigner can't even buy land in Israel from a Hebrew, because a Hebrew is not allowed to sell or lose his land. So unlike the Hebrew, the foreigner is stuck. He has nowhere to go. Do you see the problem now? So what's the best thing that could happen for this foreigner? Well, it would be better for him to stay with this new family for a longer time or maybe even forever. This gives the Israelite the option to help the foreigner as long as the foreigner wants to, because he is not a slave in the modern day sense. He is a bondservant who voluntarily entered into this agreement by choice. He even got money for it. God is making provision for this foreigner, extending more help for him by giving the Israelites the permission to keep looking after him in exchange for work. And it's benefiting the Hebrew too. So clearly the Bible does not say that they are slaves in the modern day sense, nor is it forever. The only way you would come to the conclusion that God is forcing the Jews to practice something similar to the African slave trade is if you read Leviticus chapter 25 verses 44 to 46 with your preconceived ideas and ignore the rest of the Bible. But what we want to know now is, why does the Bible refer to them as property? It seems a little humiliating. And to make it worse, you can apparently beat a slave within an inch of their lives and get away with it. That seems very abusive. You're basically treating these people like a piece of worthless object or valueless furniture. And that's what we're looking at next time. I hope you're enjoying this topic on slavery, covering both Old and New Testament. This study comes in 9 parts, which we are releasing weekly. If you don't want to wait that long or want everything in one video, then please go to our product page and download it from there. The link is in the description. This download comes with everything, a full PowerPoint presentation with all the references, and each slide has the full script. You can use it to expand your own study, or you can change, add, or remove any parts you want to help you deliver the message to your own study group. Although downloading this product is not free, by paying for it, you'll be supporting our ministry to produce more videos like this to help you and encourage you to fulfill the Great Commission.